Hello, welcome back to the internet. You know, I'm actually kind of curious. Have any of you guys just rediscovered this channel ever since I've been going back and hearting a bunch of comments? Because I know when it comes to YouTube, sometimes you'll be watching a channel pretty frequently for a while, and then maybe you'll miss a video or two, and then it'll just stop recommending that channel to you altogether, and then you just kind of forget all about it. I mean, it's happened a bunch of times to me, so I just wonder if anyone else has refound this channel recently. Anyways, we got a lot to get to today, so let's just start with... Fine, take your darn battery. So I used to run commercial sales for a particular location of a major auto parts company. I was good at it, and we got very busy. The phone sometimes didn't leave my ear for an entire shift answering calls. It was rare for me to be up front, unless I was pulling items for a customer or looking for one of my drivers. And helping walk-in customers wasn't my job. I didn't have enough time to deal with them anyway. This led to me being the manager who throws people out, because they knew I wanted to get back to my desk in the back to do my work, especially during the afternoon when we got busier. One day I'm on the phone with one of my best customers, and he's placing a huge order. The kind of order that will require my guy to make 2 trips to get him everything, and 2 motors that we needed to have an actual truck scheduled delivery for. I'm in the middle of this order, and I hear my least favorite words screamed from the front in the most Karen voice I've ever heard. "Get me someone who knows what they're talking about. Get me your manager." Now, the shift lead was busy helping customers as well. The store was slammed, and the store manager was on his lunch. I was the most senior member there, but I was management in a different department. Technically, not my job. So the kid helping her comes back, says that the shift lead told him to ask me because of how busy they are. I tell him I can't right now, and that it's the shift lead's responsibility. Where they were, if I tried, I could hear the conversation. And I caught bits and pieces, but all I really knew was it involved a battery, and she was pissed. As far as I could tell though, she hadn't started swearing or abusing the employees at all. I go back to my call, thinking nothing of it, then hear Karen again. "You're even stupider than the first kid." Of course, I prepared for what was next. The shift lead comes back and practically begs me. I get the all clear from my client to put him on hold for a minute to go deal with it. Walking out, I'm sure my face didn't hide how pissed I was. It went as follows. I was like, "What do you need?" She says, "A battery for my husband's car. He asked me to pick it up, and your employees aren't helping." I say, "Did he order it for pickup?" She says, "No." I say, "What kind of car?" "A Honda." I say, "A Honda what? What year? What engine?" She says, "I don't know." "What can you tell me about it?" "It's a Honda and it's green." I say, "Then we can't help you. Gonna need to know more about the car. Call your husband, use the store phone if you need, and find out and we can help you." She says, "Just give me the freaking battery." I say, "I can't. I don't know what battery you need." She says, "Get me the freaking battery." I say, "You know what? Fine." I went and got her the most expensive battery we had, which was a $400 truck battery, and told my guy to ring her up and went and finish my sale. Her husband came in that evening to return it and get the correct battery for about $130, and I'm told he was laughing about it and apologizing for her behavior, but I didn't get to see that myself, unfortunately. It's too bad you couldn't just block them from being able to return it in the end. I wonder why the husband really puts up with that. Kinda sad I don't work here, lady. So last week I went to the local mall with my pal for some shopping. This mall has just been refurbished, and it's our first time visiting since the refurbishment. We needed some groceries, so we went straight to the supermarket section. We grabbed some fruit and veg and whatnot, and we were just about to check out when we saw this old lady standing near the snack aisle. She looked utterly confused and kept pacing back and forth near the aisle, as if she was in a maze and didn't know which way to go. Then she just dropped her bag of groceries, which I assumed had already been paid for, on the floor and made to walk away, still looking very lost. We decided to go over and help her. I picked up the lady's dropped bag and caught up with her. She looked utterly bewildered when I said, "Excuse me, ma'am," as if she had just witnessed me apparate out of thin air. I handed the bag to her, but she refused to take it. Then she pulled out the gift redemption card, the kind you're supposed to fill up with stickers so you can redeem stuff, and abruptly asked us to help her redeem a saucepan. I calmly explained to her that, 1, we couldn't help her because obviously we don't work there, and 2, the card was completely empty. She hadn't put a single sticker on it, so it wasn't valid anyway. She then proceeded to throw a fit, saying that we were bad and lazy employees. When I tried to calm her down, she broke down and cried. People were now eyeing us as if we had just bullied the old lady to tears, and we had no idea what to do. It suddenly occurred to me that this poor old lady probably had dementia of some sort, which was likely why she was behaving so oddly. But then if that was the case, why was she all alone in such a huge mall? I came to the conclusion that someone must have brought her here, but for some reason decided to abandon her at the supermarket. I asked the sobbing old lady who had brought her to the mall, but she said she had no idea. We decided to take her to the help desk so she could try to find whoever it was that left her. We led the poor old lady to the nearest lift. The help desk was on the 3rd floor, with my friend having to tail her again, as her tears had dried rather quickly and she was once again wandering. Luckily, we didn't have to get that far. A young woman came running towards us and said that she was the lady's daughter. She thanked us for taking care of her mother, and took her bag back from me. Apparently, the daughter had asked the old lady to wait outside the bakery while she went in to get some bread, but she had, of course, wandered off to the other end of the supermarket, where the snack aisle was. I felt kinda sorry for the poor old soul and her daughter. Dementia is such a beast. Well, we may be able to play this story off as somebody having dementia, but what about all those other crazy people who also think that everyone's an employee? Do those people all have dementia too? I mean, it'd be awfully convenient for them. Black Friday Karen wants to push and shove, so I do some pushing of my own. So this occurred during a large chain sporting goods store on Black Friday. Before the sale began, shoppers had been lining up in front of tables covered with cloth in order to get doorbuster items underneath. The bell sounds and the cloth is lifted. I'm quickly, yet respectfully, rifling through a table of highly discounted yoga pants, in various colors, when I get shoved pretty aggressively from behind. I ignore it and continue what I'm doing. Another shove. This time a screechy voice calls out, "Make some room or move your butt." Now, keep in mind, the table is very large, so it's not like I was hoarding prime real estate all for myself. Karen just wanted in and didn't care who she had to run over to get it. Rather than make a scene, I wedged against another shopper, allowing her some room to slide closer. I had the last pair of size medium black pants on the table draped over my arm, looking through sizes of another color, when I felt the pants get pulled off my arm. I looked up, and of course, it's Karen, so I say, "Hey, those are mine," and grab onto them, to which she replies, with an obnoxious smirk, "Not until you pay for them," and started pulling them, trying to get them out of my hands. At this point, I know it's only going to go downhill, so rather than be on the 6 o'clock news for fighting on Black Friday, I cut my losses and decided to leave the table. My husband, who had been watching from a spot about 20 feet away, was half laughing as he saw me retreat empty-handed and defeated. "Cheer up," he said, and pushed a shopping cart toward me, filled nearly to the top. "Here you go." Wouldn't you know it, my amazing husband had commandeered the pushy woman's cart while she was busy digging through yoga pants. We smiled at each other, and I happily rolled her cart, and all her other Black Friday finds to at the other end of the store, then turned her purse into customer service on my way out the door. You know, there's a lot of people out there who like to act very self-righteous when criticizing Black Friday, and while I personally hardly ever go out to these shopping events, I really don't have any problem with it at all. I mean, everyone hypes it up as if it's like a giant brawl and everyone's killing each other. I think it's just a fun tradition for a lot of people, and I'd imagine there's even a lot of people that go just to watch the crowd. But in reality, it's rarely as bad as people make it out to be, especially with them starting earlier and earlier. So I mean, these big brawls aren't really much of an issue anymore, especially since online shopping has become so big anyway, so. Entitled Mother surprised that I am sold out and cannot sell her a room at 2 a.m. So for starters, I work as a night auditor in a hotel in Canada, and during certain times of the year we get incredibly busy and sell out of rooms days in advance, even if not everybody is in-house, because we guarantee rooms to those that pre-book reservations. I cannot sell them on the guests that pre-book. I work night audit, so sometimes I get people walking in looking for a room at 1 or 2 a.m. This particular night was during the Stampede, which is 10 days when the entire city basically sells out of rooms. We were sold out, but I was waiting for one guest to arrive yet. I had a guy come in, and I asked if he was checking in. He said yes, and I asked for his last name, and it did not match the one reservation that I was looking for. I asked if he had a reservation. He said no. I apologized and told him that the area has a few hotels and motels along the strip, and he can try any number of them. I just don't have access to their inventory, so I don't know if they are sold out yet. He said okay and walked out to his truck. I think nothing of it and continue on my night audit work of preparing the next day's arrivals. I take payments from third-party reservations like Expedia, and prepare the paperwork and room locations for all the arrivals. So this takes up some room on my front desk. I don't know what the man said to his wife out of the truck, but in comes our entitled mother. She comes in strutting her stuff like she owns the place. I ask if I can help her. She says, "Yes, we need a room for my family." I say, "I'm sorry, miss, we're sold out tonight. This is a busy time of year, and a lot of hotels sell out in advance." She says, "So you don't have any rooms?" I say, "No, I'm sorry. I'm waiting for one check-in, but it's a prepaid room, so I have to guarantee that room for the guest, regardless of the time they decide to show up." She whispers under her breath, "Yeah, right. You're a liar." I say, "Excuse me?" She says, "Well, what hotels do have rooms?" She downplays the fact that I heard her be completely rude to me. I say, "I don't know what the other hotels' occupancies are, because I work here and not there. There are 5 other hotels along the strip. I would recommend trying 2 of those other ones, as they actually have more rooms available than we do." She says, "Well, can't you just call them?" I say, "It would actually be quicker to go there, because they will sell it to the first person to come in. All the hotels are side by side on this block, but if you want me to call them, I can." She says, "That would be great." Then under her breath again, "Yeah, it would be great if you actually do your job." I say, "I beg your pardon?" And I just look at her while she looks back. I Google the numbers for the 2 worst hotels and write them down. One is really dingy, and the other one is very hard to find and easy to miss. I give her the paper I wrote them down on. I say, "I will not call them for you because I think your comments are inappropriate. Maybe next time you will pre-book your rooms when you travel, to guarantee a room for you and your family." She says, "So you are not going to give my family a room and leave us on the street? What are we supposed to do, sleep in our car?" I say, "I'm sorry, I cannot kick out guests that are in-house already. I have no vacancy." She says, "And what is this stuff?" She starts to grab my registration cards that I was working on for the next day's reservations. I say, "That is my paperwork and does not concern you. Give that back." She holds some of the paperwork away from me. "Well, we need rooms." I say, "I'm going to call the police and get you out of here. I have nothing to sell because I am full house. Give my paperwork back or I'll call the police." I pick up the phone. She drops the paper at the other end of the desk and starts cursing at me while heading to the door. Then she turns around and says, "You should apologize to me." I say, "What for? You're the one disrupting my paperwork after I went above and beyond my duty to Google hotel numbers because you were unable to pre-book a room with a reservation, despite knowing you were traveling. Get out." Entitled Mom went to the truck, and they left about 5 minutes later. I don't know why they waited, or why she even came in after I informed her husband that I was sold out. During that time, I called my neighbors' hotels and told them that there was an entitled woman and her husband looking for a room, and I refused them because they were blacklisted from our hotel due to room damage, which was a lie, so they would not rent them a room. I was mad, and I feel sorry for the little kids in the back seat of a pickup. But treat people in service with a little more respect, and then maybe you won't get screwed. Well, that's enough of stories about terrible people, because it's time to move on to the question of the day. Employees of escape rooms. What is the most incorrect thing someone has attempted to do to escape? Part of the game was bar-themed. Multiple people moved the entire bar. We had to put up a "Do not move furniture" sign to go with our "Do not touch electrical outlet" and "Do not break things" signs. See, I'm not really into the whole escape room thing. It's not that I don't like mysteries and puzzles and stuff, it's just that if you were actually trapped in a room like this and you were trying to find a way to escape, there would pretty much be no limits to the things you would do to try and get out. But when you're put into an escape room like this, you're kind of just restrained to whatever clues and rules they set for you, so you're not really allowed to think outside the box, is what I'm trying to say. I've been working at an escape room for almost 3 years now. We have a Western/Gold Rush themed room, and there's a broomstick in the room which is used on one of the puzzles. On the broom it says Can-Can, which hints that it's used in connection with some pictures of Can-Can dancers on the wall. There was once this group of about 5 women, each of them maybe 25 to 32 years old. They seemed a bit stuck, so I sent them a hint to read the broomstick and see if it was related to anything in the room, in which they somehow thought it meant that they all had to link arms together and do the Can-Can dance in the middle of the room for about 2 minutes straight, in hoping it would do something or the door would unlock. At which point, the only reason they stopped was because I sent them another hint, saying that their dancing was not going to do anything. Fun times. I don't know about many escape rooms, but I don't think there's any magical dances that are just going to unlock a door for you. Employee for about a year here. Had a guy literally pull out a knife and cut through the freaking wall. I'm talking combat knife from his boot, cut through the wall. Yes, he had to pay for damaging the room. People get crazy when put under a lot of stress, and they know other people have completed the thing that they're working so hard to complete. Part of the crazy makes sense. See, what did I just say? You're not allowed to think outside the box. At my old place, when someone asked, "Can I pick the locks?" we'd say, "Sure," because we didn't think anyone would miss the point of the escape room so much they'd bypass all the fun stuff deliberately. His wife and daughter were not nearly as amused with his abilities as he was. It's like, hey, I'll pay you $30 if you can put me in a box and let me just pick the lock and get right out. A woman pulled out a power drill from her purse and exclaimed she'd have them out of there in no time. We actually had to go in and explain that yes, the goal is to escape, but it's more fun to actually do the puzzles and try to solve the room. Also, who carries a power drill in their purse? Hey, some people just go into this with a backup plan. I mean, if you knew you were going to get kidnapped at some point, you would, try to arm yourself at least. 9 or 10 years ago, when escape rooms were starting to pop up, my mom's friend literally stuck a key-like object in an outlet thinking it was a clue and almost electrocuted herself. You know, it'd be kind of interesting if an escape room actually did something like this intentionally. Make it so that you'd have to put a key into an electrical outlet to get out, just to completely throw people off. I've done one escape room, and our group was told in person and in writing multiple times not to pull anything off the walls. We failed the room because we didn't find the clue hidden in a compartment behind a wall clock that you had to take down to get to. Still angry about that. Wow, so it was the owners who were the cheaters this time. Not an employee, but this one guy pulled the fire alarm after specifically being told that the fire alarm was not a clue. He said he thought he saw a code behind the lever. Everyone's night was cut short. Well, hey, they probably got a pretty good time at least. In one that I did, my group got paired up with some random people. One of those people was an off-duty cop. One of the puzzles involved a pair of handcuffs, and he had to find the key. Unknown to the rest of the group, he just pulls out his handcuffs key and opens them up, skipping like half of the room. Man, see, some people just go into this with an unfair advantage. Not an employee, but I've done a few with some pretty stupid people. The worst things I've seen someone do are try forcing open the entrance door. Force meaning throw their full body against it. Try to climb into the air vents thinking it was part of the room. It wasn't. We were asked to leave that room. You know how you have to leave your phones? Someone brought their 3DS and tried to hook it onto their phone's hotspot that they turned on right before they left their phone. We might have failed that room, but I give the guy an A for creativity and effort. Someone threatened to poop on the floor. He didn't, but I thought he would. And that's pretty much it. At least until I do another one. Man, I had no idea there were so many crazies doing these. Ooh, I'm an escape room employee. One of our rooms is saloon themed and has a bunch of plastic alcohol bottles in it that are filled with varying levels of colored water. The bottles are glued shut, and every group is explicitly told that the bottles have really old, like over a year old, water in them, and that they do not need to be opened. A guy pried one open and drank the water. Yes, he threw up. Luckily, he made it to the washroom first. I feel like when you tell people not to do something in these, people just take that as a clue as something they're supposed to do. But anyways, that's all for today. Man, I hate to admit it, but I've gotten myself completely addicted to WoW again. I mean, I've been playing this game on and off for 13 years. You'd think I'd get sick of it by now, but I just keep coming back. Anyways, enjoy the cat video.